Election officials in Georgia held a day-long meeting Friday. The state's conservative board considered election rule changes just weeks before early voting starts in the Peach State. David Becker joins me now with more. He's a CBS News election law contributor and the executive director of the Center for Election Innovation and Research. So, David, the board met for most of the day Friday. It imposed a rule ordering the hand counting of ballots on election night. Talk to us about why they would make this change, because in so many ways, this feels like going backward in time. What is it all going to mean on election night?
So first of all, we should understand what the change actually is. In every single precinct in the state of Georgia, the board has imposed this rule that says they have to count the number of ballots before they go home, not the actual votes on each ballot, but the number of ballots before they go home that night after a very long day. The poll workers will have been working there 16 or more hours. Many of those poll workers are senior citizens, and they'll be kept until they count in multiple times the number of pieces of paper. They'll be tired. They will be exhausted after a long day. And we know human beings, even in the best circumstances, don't count thousands of pieces of paper very accurately. So it's likely there are going to be some disparities. Now, we have to understand also, this rule was passed 3-2 on a strictly partisan basis. And the Attorney General of the state of Georgia just yesterday, a Republican as well, told the board that this rule, as well as others they were considering, were well outside the scope of their authority, that they did not comply with Georgia law. The board passed them anyway, despite a lot of testimony from Georgians and others that this was going to cause problems. And I'm not so worried that this is going to lead to any problem with the actual vote tally in Georgia. Georgia's going to do a good job with that. But you can imagine how these long nights where they're going to be counting the number of ballots, if there's even a disparity of one, how the loser of the election might spread lies about that to make it appear as if there was something wrong with the actual vote count.
Well, and David, we know that there were already some issues in Georgia. You mentioned the AG, Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who was famously part of some of those discussions last time. He told the state election board that these new rules are dangerously late in the election process and most likely illegal. What legal action do you expect will come from his office, from the AG's office?
Well, he's exactly right. And it should be noted, the Governor Kemp, Attorney General Carr, Secretary of State Raffensperger have stood with great courage, actually, for principle and conviction and for the people of the state of Georgia throughout this entire process. And he's also very right that county election officials in Georgia's 159 counties are very busy preparing for the election, which is only 46 days out. This is going to be very difficult for them to implement. They're going to have to train poll workers to do something they've never done before. And there could be significant problems as a result of this. I'm still confident Georgia's elections will be very secure and verifiable. But that said, given the Attorney General's opinion, I think we should absolutely expect that there will be a lawsuit filed very quickly. I think that lawsuit will be on very strong ground. We'll see how it's decided. I think it's going to be decided under Georgia state law and the Georgia state courts most likely. And hopefully they'll act swiftly, because the counties, the professionals in each county, need time to prepare and plan during these last 46 days to make sure there's no voter confusion and no election official poll worker confusion.
All right, David Becker, thank you.
Thank you.